won't get interrupted. Man, that snow's deep. Hopefully my van will be able to get out of here. So it snowed a bit. I had another carnival last night over at Otter Lake, so I think there's one more carnival to go in Casablanca. Hopefully, if there's like 3 carnivals 3 weeks in a row, that'd be kind of cool. Break up the winter monotony. Other than that, what's going on in the winter monotony? Well, they're keeping things interesting is the geopolitical things going on around the world, such as down in the States mainly. A civil war in the States. People have talked about it. It's kind of weird. We're seeing a different flip where under Obama you had all the right-wingers pretty much getting ready for a civil war, which didn't happen, but definitely the Obama administration was preparing for civil unrest, the FEMA camps, the this, the that, the DHS putting every pretty much right-winger or Christian or gun owner or patriot or constitutionalist on the terrorist watch list, considering that that's a terrorist group. So you can definitely see that the government's paranoid of its people. There's no doubt about that. But somehow Obama wasn't able to get the divide and conquer going good enough. Now Trump, strangely enough, was able to get the divide and conquer going well enough to have a civil war. And I think you might have one. Like I said, you'll probably have a civil race war, a civil race war under Trump and an economic collapse, but you're probably not going to get a third world war. I'm still kind of worried about how Trump is going to be treating Iran. Did Trump just, people got sick of the red terror scare and Russia this and Russia that and Russian aggression. Maybe people just, if Trump is in on it with the New World Order, so to speak, then you'd be saying, okay, well, look, the jig's up. We can't demonize the Russians anymore. The people are going against us, so let's now demonize China and Iran. So, whatever, and Iran has been kind of feeling out the Trump administration a bit too, such as dumping the dollar, which is not a big deal because it's not like Iran was using it a lot anyway, so it's, whatever. But just to set the precedence to get other people to dump the US dollar, that type of thing. So that said, it comes back to the SJWs, the Antifa, which the Antifa, man, these guys have just been popping out of the woodwork like you wouldn't believe. And it's not that they weren't always there, it's now they're funded by, you guessed, George Soros. Pretty much every bit of destabilization protest that you see everywhere, and maybe not everywhere, but all the major ones that are making it on the news, all these people that are bussed in from all over the place are bussed in on George Soros-funded buses. And they're usually, the narrative is that. These people, whether they know who George Soros is or not, it doesn't matter because they're being used as useful aids. Now, I think the reality is this, that most people do support Trump. They're doing polls, polls are notoriously unreliable, especially they saw after this election that passed how unreliable these polls actually are. But even at that, they're still taking bias samples, and even with the bias samples, it's still coming up in favor of Trump on, for example, the refugee ban, that type of thing. And again, you still have, up here in Canada, the CBC talking about how horrible the refugee ban is and how everybody's celebrating this judge who put a block or whatever. But at the end of the day, most people are in favor of, maybe not a high majority, but 49 to 41% or something like that. But the thing is that I think the majority is silent anyway. So most people are for this ban. Even some of the people, again, CNN, again, get caught in the lies. When they talk about the travel ban, there was this imam or whatever. They censor it. They get sound bites, right? And they get the part where it either makes someone look good or someone look bad. But anyway, this imam was like, yeah, no, I support what Trump's doing. It makes sense. I mean, type of thing. So they cut that part out and then just go, well, but he's going about it the wrong way, yada, yada, yada. Okay, yeah, most people would say, yeah, he went about it the wrong way. If he didn't trap anybody at airports, yes, they would still complain, but they would get less of an argument, you know what I mean? Rather than triggering them. And that's the thing, triggering the SJWs is easy to do, but he will not divide us. I watched the video, oh my God. Shia LaBeouf or whatever, the guy that played in the Transformers there, I like him as an actor, but I think like most actors, some of these people, the better actor they are, the more of a scatterbrain they are. If you didn't see that like the Hitler trolls of that was just, but ridiculous should be met with ridiculous, right? So these, whatever. But this is the mindset of people that you're dealing with. So it's not like you can really have logical conversations with these people anyway. It's like, so they're going to get trolled, it is counterproductive trolling these people. It is, but I know it's fun for some people, but it's it is counterproductive. But I get it. Yeah, you have to take these people down a notch one way or another. But the thing is those people I'm not so worried about. These Hollywood types all out there. I think something right now there's something like 12,000 tweets out there of calling for the assassination of Trump. Now, under Obama, anytime there was a call for an assassination, man, the guy was swept away. And probably rightfully so. You know, I mean, that is a serious thing to be doing. A lot of these, I think, are just flaky liberals, or not liberals, but progressives, because liberals are now Nazis. You know, again, if you're right-wing of Bernie Sanders, you're a Nazi, according to the people. Like, these people just don't deal with reality well. I'm not really worried about these Trotskys. Some people said, Reg, these guys aren't like Trotskys, or they're not like the Bolsheviks at all. What do you mean? I said, well, don't look at them in the sense of SJWs, what they stand for. Look at them, the mannerisms of which they're going about it. How they're, you know, tear the whole system down. We're going to rebuild it in our, you know, in our way, but we have to tear it all down first. That's Trotskyism. Bolshevism, you know, very similar. You know, anybody that you know, goes against us, shut it down. So, you know, do you have your revolution via the unions, or do you have your revolution and then bring in the unions? You know, like, okay, well, whatever, you know, tomato. But you get what I'm getting at when I'm talking about Bolshevism 2.0 or neo-Bolshevism or, you know, Trotskyism. These people are the revolutionaries, is I guess the basic term here. And the thing is there's, like, the Antifa are not revolutionary. They're just anarchists. They're just anarchists. They're not revolutionary. Although they call for revolution and stuff like that. You had one guy, somebody said, you know, Stalin killed XYZ amount of people, 80 million people, 20 million people. Nobody knows. You know, like Stalin would say, a death of a man is a tragedy, a death of millions is a statistic. I mean, like, is it 80 million, is it 82 million? You know, he killed millions of people. And the communist student of what you now call social justice, I used to refer to, this guy had like a freaking bearskin hammer and sickle hat on, the CCCP shirt, I'm sure, underneath. Very communist. Oh, you know, communist hasn't been tried the right way for the 18th billionth time. You know, we didn't kill enough people in the last time communism failed, you know, so we're going to try it a new way. You know, that time. And his snappy remark was basically, oh yeah, but did you know under Stalin the birth rate was going up? Yes, and same thing under Mao Zedong, where, you know, women had to have 5 children, and now you have an overpopulated China and a one-child policy. So rather than just let things work themselves out naturally. And these 5-child policies, okay, it created such an inflation of people. You have all these people starving all over the place. Now China, depending on where you look, depending on the quality of life, a lot of areas in China, trust me, nobody in the Western world, unless they're a businessman, wants to live in China, or a businesswoman, whatever. You don't want to live in China because you're not going to live like you live here. If you're not producing, or a company owner or whatever, you're not producing well and doing business, you're probably not doing well. There's no social safety nets there for you whatsoever. Grandma and grandpa live with the kids. They live with your mom and dad. That's your retirement. You take care of that. That type of thing. That's why the Chinese, you know, they do things differently. And you have all these, you know, kind of Maoists, Marxists, Trotskyists, Leninists, whatever. All these people that they you know, the Che Guevara types. Most of these people that support Che Guevara would have probably been murdered under Che Guevara. Most of these, and you get it on the other side too, with most of these pro-Hitler people, neo-Nazis, most of them would be put to death as degenerates, you know, under Hitler. You know what I mean? They would be adding to that other 11 million people. You know what I mean? Like they don't understand the context of history and the backdrops of the people of their time. They only cherry pick and choose the good things out of it to make it look like this is how the revolution is going to go. But when you look at the things and you actually read the history books, almost every one of these revolutionaries are unpredictable. The revolution hangover usually means how many people, what's the body count going to be? You know, that type of thing. Now, when it comes to civil wars, it's the same thing. What's the body count going to be? What's the body count in Ukraine right now? What's the body count in Syria right now? That's what a civil war looks like. Now, Syria, yes, you've got the U.S. and Israeli-backed and Saudi and Turkey-backed ISIS in there. This is pretty much openly admitted. And in Ukraine, you have one side that's backed by pretty much the United States, and the other one's backed by Russia. And but at the end of the day, the people are divided and conquered, using prejudice and histories from, you know, World War II, whatever, against the Ukrainians, and using whatever batshit crazy jihadists against the Syrians. But at the end of the day, the people that are fighting on one side or the other, they don't realize who the puppeteers are, and that it's a stage. And that so when they engage in these things, they're really not. It's completely a waste of time to participate in a civil war. When you realize if you're not shooting at the people who created the civil war, then you're really wasting your time, because shooting at this guy and he's shooting at you because you have a different value system, that's pointless, because that doesn't end. It's this guy up here and this guy up here who created the divide and conquer, the Hegelian dialectic problem reaction solution, that type of stuff, and using Saul Alinsky tactics, and of course, ideological subversion. When you understand those things, then you understand that those the people, again, there's no point in meeting the communist student out or the Bolshevik 2.0 or Trotsky 2.0 out in the street. He's pointless. He's completely irrelevant. These people don't even know what they don't know. They don't even understand how over the deep end radical they are. So they're an insolvency. So that's not that's not the way to get around the problem. But that said, you do have factions fighting at the top, and like I said, if you look at the world divided into two, and I go over this over and over again, because I know sometimes I have new viewers, and I know sometimes, a lot of times, Reg, I've heard you say this for years now, but it's true. We always have to look at the world through the lens of empire, and we have to look at it for two empires. The world is split into two empires at the current moment. The transatlantic Anglo-American empire with the petrodollar, Canada, the United States, Europe, that type of thing, the IMF banking system and all that, versus the Eurasian Pacific empire, Russia, China, India, Iran, and the BRICS nations, and whoever else is going to jump on whichever side of the empires. These two empires are fighting. That's very clear. Right now, it's more of a Cold War and an economic war and a hegemony war, but other than that, they're still fighting. So it hasn't got into a full-out shooting war yet. Now, that said, you also have to look at everything you're seeing as one system which is under threat. So in other words, the banking system is the military system. The military system is the education system. The education system is the economy. The economy is the media system, etc., etc., etc. And it just goes round and round and round. And when you understand that, this is why everything, according to the mainstream media, Donald Trump can't do a single thing right. Under mainstream media, Obama couldn't do a single thing wrong. That type of thing. And there's people out there, the people that are uninformed, okay, yeah, you can cut them some slack because they're not where you're at. They don't have the information you have. So they're still going on the hot button issues, being reactionary of divide and conquer, of, oh, okay, well, immigration, well, no, I'm for these people, but they don't realize the big picture of why the mass immigration is there. They don't understand the Clarity Plan, the Greater Israel Project. They don't understand, the Agenda 21 or Agenda 2030. They don't understand what these big globalist entities are trying to do. They have no clue. They think it's about the heartstring issues. And that's where you do get, your flare-ups and stuff like that. For example, you have your Black Lives Matter and supporters of that are out there, F white people, kill all white people, give us all your stuff, give us your houses, give us your money. I mean, you can't even make this stuff up. So people see that and they're like, okay, well, yeah, come and get it, right? But then you don't realize that person is just a useful idiot. That's not you shoot at them in a civil war, it's pointless because there's just going to be 10 more coming over the hilltop. And, whatever. And it doesn't stop. That's not where the problem is. So the problem isn't solved with the rifle. The problem is solved with the mind and through truth bombs. Basically exposing the people that are doing this. And because that's basically how Trump got elected. The left, a lot of people on the left have no clue how Trump got elected. But all the polls told us this, and that should be your first indicator that, wait a minute, if the polls were all wrong, every mainstream media was wrong. Now, was it the polls were wrong, or were they lying to us? Oh, maybe I should look at the mainstream media a little bit more. And then when every single person that is not mainstream media is considered fake news or competition, whatever verbiage you want to throw in there, then that's getting a lot of people going, whoa, wait a minute, why is it every time, okay, yeah, the people that are so biased, like there's some people like, Donald Trump could cure world cancer, and there's some people that would still hate him. They would still protest him, because he didn't do it the right way, or whatever, misogyny, xenophobia, homophobia, dysophobia, that phobia, whatever it's going to be. LGBTQ, for example. Now, you know my stance on LGBTQ. I have issues with it. I'm libertarian. You just live your life the way you want, but don't impose on others. And there's a little bit too much of an infringement there on others, in my opinion. But from Donald Trump, he supports them. He supports them in many times. He says, yeah, I support LGBTQ. He's up there holding the LGBTQ flag like every other politician. And whatever. But yet, silent on the media. So the lie by omission, the lie by the spin, and the lie by manipulation, well, people are catching on to that. So all the people that are mad at Trump now, I think he knows that, well, when they start seeing what I'm saying is true, which, again, I'm still neutral on Trump. That's why I'm not, I might sound a little more pro-Trump, but I'm for his ideas that he got elected on. Drain the swamp, put these bastards in jail, Rothschilds, Rockefellers, Henry Kissinger, George Soros particularly, Zbigniew Brzezinski. Why is he waiting on George Soros? Go after him now. This man is a terrorist in your country. He's a threat to your nation. He's a threat to the world. Macedonia is going after freaking George Soros. Hungary is going after George Soros. Russia's had an arrest warrant out for Soros for a long time and removed most of his NGO groups because of the color revolutions and stuff like that. And yet, this man still walks free. You do drone strikes on women and children in the Middle East, and you're telling me you can't get George Soros? You know what I mean? I would rather see the man hauled away in front of the court of law, like all of them. If they started there, then you could save the people. The thing is you can't save the people and save the system. This is the dilemma Donald Trump is in. So I know for some people, like, why isn't he draining the swamp? He kind of is in a strange way. I call it the firecracker effect. Firecracker groundhog effect. Now, just for my fellow Canadians out here, Groundhog Willie or Groundhog, what's the other one there? There's like 5 or 10 little groundhogs in Brown. Apparently, they're all in agreement. 6 more weeks of winter. It better be right, little groundhog. Better be right. I'm a rational man, but if a groundhog lies to me, it'll be helping you. You know, that's rational. Okay, you have to be Canadian to understand that. So the case in point is, he's got a system. Like I explained, all one system. If he takes down one element of the system, it takes it all down. Everything fails. So if he hits the reset button, okay, for the economic collapse and gets rid of too big to fail, the schools fail, the hospitals fail, everything fails because it's all linked together. There's no independency. Everything is one system. The stock market, the corporations, the banks, they're one system. So this is what he's up against. So he has to do repeal and replace, stuff like that. He has to line up all his ducks in a row before he starts shooting and hitting that button. Because if he doesn't, when the collapse happens, it'll just be a mess. And I think what a lot of people are analyzing that he's getting ready to do the right thing and do an economic collapse. This is why he's pulling in the Goldman Sachs bankers and stuff like that, is that they know how the system's rigged. So they know how best to replace it. And I think they're going to do, like, in pockets. Bang, Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae go out of business. And, okay, whatever, but we're not going to bail them out, we're going to bail out the people. Okay, or the people are going to have to take a bit of a hit. But either way, it doesn't really matter. There's going to be no way out of this without pain. Now, that said, the system knows that, you know, this means Rothschilds, Rockefellers know that their empire is about to be stolen from them. Even though they stole it, these people are parasitic. They can't exist without, central banks can't exist without being parasitic. And when you understand that, then you understand what more of this divide and conquer and all the stuff you've seen on the media. But the thing is the people that know this is why you don't see them out in the streets. This is why you don't see a whole bunch of right-wingers out in the street. Because they know that it's pointless to argue with these people who don't have a clue what's going on. Like, it's just a waste of energy. So what they're doing, and what they've been doing for about 8 years under Obama, and again, preppers could go back further than that for sure, but really heavily under Obama, was getting ready for an economic collapse, a civil war, a nuclear war, whatever things were going to be coming down the pipe, which are still not, like, none of that stuff is off the table yet. It's still a good possibility that this is going to happen. And the civil war, I think, is the most likely to happen, probably sometime midsummer when the weather gets nicer, the crazies come out. So they'll take place as, you know, Antifa riots and stuff like that at first, but then these Antifa people, it's only a matter of time before they start going into other people's neighborhoods and attacking. For example, you know, they're going to take the Black Lives Matter and the Antifa and go into white communities and start, you know, destroying them and attacking and murdering people there. Well, that creates a civil war. Now, the problem when these people do that is, like I said, for 8 years, people have been, you know, hoarding bread, bullets, and beans and bandages, okay? And they've been training. You know, their 2-year-olds can take your eye out with a 45 Colt at 90 yards. You know what I mean? Like, they're trained to defend their property. The left has no concept of this. They're anti-self-defense. They're pro-vandalism. They're pro-attacking people, shut it down or whatever. And they're fascistic that way. But they have no concept of how an individual will respond. And when they see it, and you are starting to see it, at the Milo thing, guy shot that's going to become common occurrence as, you know, because the Trump supporters, okay, the ones that are going out protesting against these Antifa stuff, like, you're doing it the wrong way. You don't need to go meet these people. Just let them destroy, just let them be the douchebags that they are. You'll get more people on your side, and you won't get hurt in the point. That said, yes, you're making your political statement. You have the right to do that, but you got to pick your battles here. And the thing is that a lot of people are not realizing that there's no use agitating the agitators, because that's all they're there for. You know, it gets you nowhere. You would be better off, take off your MAGA hats, or Make America Great Again, yeah, MAGA hats, okay? Hide that, and then use your brain, okay? Use your brain to plant seeds with ideas. And rather, and the best way you can do it, okay, is what you call the 007 troll. Okay, and I've seen a few people do this already. Mark Dice does this all the time, where people who don't know who Mike Dice is, he punks people on the street. He pretends he's on their side, and then starts asking them questions to make the people look as stupid as they are, right? Now, he might get like 1 in every 10 person that's like that. But when you see it, that's like he's always punking. Oh my God, the problem's worse than what it is. These SJWs are fewer and far. There's a lot of them. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of them, but they're like a 10% maybe max radical group on the fringe left. The 10% radicals on the right, you don't see them. When these guys come out, that's when people die. They're going to be neo-Nazis, ultra-right, or ultra-nationalists, that type of thing. They won't be alt-right. Alt-right is a non-violent movement. Because they're not supremacist movement. Alt-right is not supremacist. It's segregationist. It doesn't want to play with you anymore. It wants to get out of your sandbox. We just want our sandbox over here. That's the best way you can describe alt-right. And alt-right is the new conservative. New right is not yet to be defined, because you can't really define all these things. They were all under the alt-right. Now it's just breaking away into factions, kind of like religions and stuff like that. But everything from the alt-right on is a moderate. Everything from a liberal on or a liberal going right is a moderate. A liberal is now a conservative. When I was a kid, I was a liberal, or teenager type thing. I was a liberal. My value system hasn't changed that much, but now everything has shifted over about 1 or 2 to the left. So a conservative is now a liberal is now a socialist is now a progressive is basically a communist cultural Marxist, or whatever. Marxist, after that, you got people just dead in a ditch somewhere. And the thing about that is the best way you can do it, because you know what's going on. So the best thing to do, especially rather than try to defend your position, infiltrate the other position. This is the best way to fight this war, because then nobody dies. And the idea is to plant seeds. I hate that Trump guy, especially because he's going to do this. I know Obama did this first, but still, and just kind of like, for example, the Muslim ban. Yeah, okay, Obama picked those countries. I know that, but still, that doesn't give Trump the right? Yes, Obama picked those people, those countries, those 5 countries. Trump hasn't added his country, or 7 countries, whatever it is. Trump hasn't added that yet. But this is Obama's policy, and he did that in 2011. It was okay back then, but now it's not acceptable. That's just completely irrational. So you know what I mean? Like you're playing, and the person's gonna be like, "Is that fucking with me or not?" And then it's not gonna hit them there. 6 months later, maybe. I don't think I really agree with that position. What are these other guys saying again? And then you go over you bait them, you give them seeds, and you infiltrate like that. I've seen a couple of people do it, and it's a very clever way to do it. It's because that way you can infiltrate without them even knowing you're in there, and you can expose it as well. Marie Frochot, however you say her name. Anyway, I just found her channel not too long ago. Fantastic lady. She went to one of these women's march. Okay. Now, when she went there. When she went there, what she did was started saying, "Oh my God, that Donald Trump, he's so horrible. Hillary was so fantastic. Hillary supported the girls." Be like, "Yes, of course. Can you remember all the accomplishments? Can you name me a couple of your favorite accomplishments she had?" And every one of them was like, "Well, she's been around for so long." And, they had nothing. They had nothing. But that's great, because now the world sees this, and it's like, okay, that's about as non-biased as you can be. You're giving all that rope for these people to hang themselves, to show other people that might look at it. And a lot of these people are former progressives. They say, "I was a former liberal." No, if you were on that ideology that we're seeing in this crazy stuff we're seeing it's just like, okay, you are not a liberal. You are a progressive, and a progressive is not the dictionary for it. It's cultural Marxist. You're batshit crazy. You're an SJW, and that type of thing. Now, what about the actual, bang war part of it? I do think that can happen. There are elements out there that would be militant enough to try, but I don't think there'd be enough of them to really make a dent. The Black Lives Matter, yeah, they'll just go around doing more violence, but as soon as they go into the white communities, they'll make an example of a few white communities, but then every white person out there, it's going to wake more of them up. You know what I mean? They're going to wake more of them up. And then you're going to see Black Lives Matter people get shot left, right, and Antifa shot left, right. A guy comes to hit you with a stick, bang. self-defense, and technically they'll be in the right. That's what happened to the other guy. He shot, and but that's the thing. You've got people now that are, under 8 years, we're worried about their guns taken away. Okay, Obama's been the best gun salesman for like 8 years. Okay, and they've been training and they've been getting ready for like a civil war. And some of these prepper challenges, you can clearly see it. And a lot of these guys are ex-law enforcement military to begin with. A lot of ex-military. The DHS is terrified of the ex-military. I think they should be more terrified of the active duty law enforcement that might actually be wanting to take their country back. Because, again, when what I call the hellhounds, when they show up, I call them spooks with a conscience, patriots, whatever. If rule of law fails, these guys will go into action. When they do, you're going to see judges and lawyers and politicians just dying. I'd be surprised if Trump is the real deal. It's not going to matter. Probably after the middle of the summer, if this war grows into one. So far, on my 2017 predictions, I've been, I said you're going to see the Bolshevik 2.0 kind of freak out type of thing, the Israeli freak out still going on. I said you would see, these progressive leftists go extremely violent. The amount of violence on social media from these people is astronomical. Teachers trying to teach kids how to shoot Donald Trump. On video, it's just astronomical. These people, because their brains are fried. They can't deal with reality. I'm still wondering what the suicide rate is since the Trump inauguration on the progressive left. I'd be just interesting to know how many people killed themselves thinking the sign is nigh. It'd be interesting to see. But that's it. Getting back to what I was saying, because I know a lot of people are more interested in this, the prepper aspect of it. What is the threat of preppers? Well, it's the same thing. The same reason why they're not going to cast the first stone. No. When you get a real uprising civil war in the States is when they know. That's when the military comes from. That's when the United Nations jackboot thugs come from. That's when those guys go into action. So until that happens, which under Trump I don't think it will, but you never know. Things can happen. I mean, Trump can turn authoritarian very quickly. He's a bit of a double-edged sword, but he's the last step before actual civil war. He's the last chance before a real civil war, like North and the South type of thing. Now, these leftists out there calling for revolution and stuff like that, they're morons. The best is just go around them, stay away from them. There's no point in engaging unless you're doing, like I say, a covert thing and maybe spoofing them around. Because you can expose them for what they are. Best thing is just go in a crowd, just let the camera go. And it'll just, you don't even have to say anything. You won't even have to say anything. People look at that, because I'm seeing people that I know, I'm up in Canada. I'm an anomaly up here being a right-winger. But I see a lot of people that I know that are really on the left, and they're like, whoa, okay, I don't like what Trump's doing, he's going about it the wrong way, or I agree with what he's doing, but he's going about it the wrong way. But all these people, okay, what the hell are they doing? They're ruining their own cause, they can they're starting to kind of see it now, which is good. Even Whoopi Goldberg, who politically I don't agree with Whoopi Goldberg. She's an anti-white, hates men, that type of thing. Okay, so she's a progressive. Okay, fair enough. But I don't disagree with her on it. I could sit there and have a conversation with Whoopi Goldberg. I don't think she's a batshit crazy lunatic. You know what I mean? Like, you could, okay, well, we're going to have difference of opinion, but here, well, sit down, we'll have a coffee or a beer or whatever, and we'll shoot the shit. Now, she came out and said something that was very logical. She said, all of these people, these Antifa and all that, they're out there, and she made a couple of points. She said, number one, ladies, if you're going to go out there and start swinging at some of the guys out there, we don't live in that world anymore. They're going to treat you like an eagle and you're going to get smacked, and that's true. Men are hitting women in open street with you got the Make America Great Again girl. You've got tons. You got Sheila Gunn Reid. These are male feminists at Women's March punching women. Like, above irony, what is that? You know what I mean? But that's not acceptable because the emasculated male cannot separate. He believes he says, I can hit her if I want. She's a bitch. You know what I mean? That's the way they think now. You know what I mean? Not all of them, because most guys will be like, whoa, okay, lady, you're driving me nuts, go away. That type of thing. So that's out the window. So she's right there. That's going out the window. So there's going to be a lot of guys and women going, whoa. I don't like that kind of world, and I don't either. I don't think we should be like that. Men and women shouldn't be that divided at the beginning. Then she makes another point. She goes, every time, you have your right to protest, and I agree with that, but every time you go out there and you bust something, break something, vandalize, burn down your communities, you're just rioters. And you legitimate the protest, which she's correct. She's 100% correct on that. Now the question is how come these rioters are always showing up? How can these guys find their way into every... Doesn't matter where you put the protest, they seem to always get there. How come these guys always be ready to go? How come there's always buses that bring these guys in? Who's paying for these buses? George Soros. You see what I mean? People are starting to, oh wait, that looks like it's kind of set up. Look, the world is a stage. Who's doing this? Why are they doing this? And real people have said, I'm a real progressive, but I'm not for this. Okay, fine. The right isn't for this either. But the right, they're not out in the streets. They're kind of out there. I mean, there's neo-reactionaries out there too. Gavin McGinnis going out and punching the guy in the face. It was a crack him good. He didn't go, oh, you bitch. He said, you fucker. I got him right in the chop. That was a nice shot. What was the name of that UFC guy? Tank Adams or whatever. He had one move. Launch right into your forehead, and then that was usually, you got smacked in the forehead, and you're brain damage for the rest of your life. Some of these guys are just extremely powerful. But anyway, these guys, okay, they're now starting to realize that, okay, they got to separate themselves from the extreme radicals, which really takes down their numbers. But it also means that these radicals who are losing their identity of a paradigm shift that's taking away the establishment, that that long march through the academia, that's one way. I think when Trump's education minister, I forget what her name is there, but if she gets rid of Common Core, the amount of craziness we'll see on it. But there's just going to be like crazy teachers and stuff. But that will be basically, we're not going to save the system. We're going to scrap it and start over. We're going to take the new batch of kids now and educate them properly. And if they're a little on the left, a little on the right, whatever. But they won't be SJWs. They won't be that crazy. Because those people are brainwashed. Now, they don't even know they're brainwashed. That's one of the things about brainwashing. They're in a religious, euphoric, leftist utopia that's being torn down on them. And that's what's putting them in such violent mode, to the point where they're even lashing out at each other. So the idea is, basically just stand back, let them destroy themselves. The law enforcement, military will sweep up a lot of them. You see at Berkeley, I mean, there's people out there, like your Michael Moores and stuff like that, saying, yeah, we need to go and fight and protest and Trump and all that. And people are taking these people seriously. And because there's going to be a whole bunch of 20-somethings or whatever out there that are basically, some of them are going to go to jail for 10 years for vandalism, burning police cars and stuff like that. And I hope they do. Make example of these people. Put them in jail. They're terrorists. They're doing terrorist acts in your country. Again, I'm always okay for scream, yell, debate, whatever. Protest, that's fine. But as soon as you start busting stuff, why are you busting this shop owner, that limo that got burnt on the anti-Trump rally? Was, here they are, anti-Trump, he's a racist. The guy was like I don't forget, he was Middle Easterner, he was an immigrant. And you burnt down his livelihood. That'll show the man, that'll show the system. So, again, these people are just buffoons. So, that said, we know what the radical left is. And we know that they're violent and that they want to kill right-wingers or whatever and demonize. And yes, there is a lot of work to go. For example, Trump has to get rid of it. We're doubling down here in Canada, which will create... There's... The Muslim mosque shooting in Quebec City, there's something going on there that, again, I don't know I need to hear the motive of the guy that was there. There's a bunch of stories flying around right now. But there's a lot going on in my province that I wasn't kind of aware of, maybe because I'm always looking out there. Sometimes I forget to look at home a bit. But like I said, Canada's we're behind the curve on everybody. So even though we're doing crazy batshit mass immigration, we're seeing what's happening to everybody else. And in Canada, all the revolutionary stuff, it's all silent. It's all there's a huge, we got soldiers of Odin everywhere here. Maybe not everywhere, but you get the idea. They're in Quebec, they're in BC, they're in Alberta, they're in, they're spreading. And groups like it. And we got all these nationalist groups that are just kind of, like I say, they're kind of popping up. The problem is most of them are popping up in Quebec. We don't want those nationalist groups because they only want for, Eastern Quebec or whatever. But if we can get a Canada First kind of nationalist group, then maybe we'll just pull them all together, get rid of a lot of this craziness. So the thing is if we can curb that ball in the next election with a nationalist party, then, and it is still possible, we still have time, but we've got to hurry up because we've got less than 2 years. That way we don't have to go through what all these other European countries and the States is going through. We don't have to go through that. Because we've already done it 100,000 times here in Canada. We've had enough civil wars in Canada. We don't need any more. So let's learn, okay, we can't have this crazy ideology of progressivism running the governments. But here in Canada, people are starting to lose their jobs for opinions. I was having dinner with a friend, and same thing. She goes, I watch some of your videos and stuff like that, but I can't comment on them because if I might have to at some point. She goes, not right now, but at some point I may have to unfriend you. It's not because, I love you, don't worry, you're my best friend, whatever. But it could cost me my job. And I said, if it ever comes to that, I said, don't worry about it. Don't even have to explain it. Just do it. Because I know a few people, a few of my friends, that's what they've told me. They work in the government, and there's people in their branch that's what they do is they watch to see what everybody else they're doing on social media. To see, how, you would expect this in China. You would expect this in North Korea. You would expect this in Turkey, but you wouldn't, or Saudi Arabia or someplace like that, or Soviet Union. You wouldn't expect that in Canada, but that's government workers in Canada, in some of their departments. Yeah, people monitor people's Facebook, and you can lose your job for not what you say, but what I could say something and somebody else could lose their job for it. Yeah, how great is that? So got to get out ahead of this. So people are they're getting ready to go against that now because we have one propaganda machine here in Canada, technically the CBC and CTV and CHRO and all that. And they're all basically umbrella corporation of the CBC, which is state-run. Or you must say liberal-owned, whichever verbiage you want to pick. And they put out one narrative, everything's fine, nothing to see here, there's no nationalism here, and there's no anti-globalism here. Boy, are they wrong. Boy, are they wrong. And the thing is they know this. Now, the reason why I bring up Canada is because if things are what I think there's going to happen, you're going to see us leading by example, believe it or not, over the states, even with the advantage head start of Trump. You're probably by the Trudeau's third year, we're in the first year, people are freaking out about what he's doing to the country. But by the third year, we could see, bang, Canada just take the lead in nationalism. If we get a party in now, now's the time to do it. That way it avoids a civil war 8 to 10 years out. I said in Canada we'd have our civil war 8 to 10 years from now if we keep on this current thing, but it might be more like 5 to 8 years out, depending on the motive of the mosque shooting. If it was truly this French guy who would be... Again, they try to tie him to Trump and stuff like that, but he's also a big fan of Jack Layton, and it doesn't mean they're fans, but he's subscribed to those people, so that doesn't really mean anything. It's like there's some of these active shooters or in the States, they were young, they were subscribed to say some prepper channels and then some Young Turks or something like that. It doesn't, it's not guilt by association. To me, I don't look at it that simplistic because you could be I monitor a lot of things I don't like. For example, I'm subscribed to Onision. I can't stand the guy. Barely watch him, but sometimes it's just when I want to check my blood pulse or whatever, it's like, okay, I know he's going to say something to piss me off. Okay, go. Okay, 30 seconds. Okay, I've had enough. I can't. Yeah, I can't. But I still want to hear the other perspective anyway. And that could be some of that. Who knows? So you don't know what the ideology is until you get an admission. Now, if you get an admission and he did this because of what's happening in France, what's happening in Germany, what's happening... I'm amazed they haven't had their war yet. Now, one of the other predictions I said is you would see the Swedish berserker by the end of 2017. Well, it looks like it's starting in Sweden. The Swedes are starting to flip out, rightfully so. If you want to see the canary in the coal mine, that's when the canary's in the coal mine. They look at Sweden to see. Okay, if they're dying, I got to get out of here. Let me out of the cage, man. They're relying on me, but that type of thing. Sweden is there, but even the Swedes are going to have their freak out. And it will be very bloody. Army of Breiviks. It'll be. You're going to see an army of Breiviks in Norway and Sweden and Finland and stuff like that. The Finns are pretty nationalist to begin with because they're all Finns. They got 3% or something immigration. They don't have much to worry about. The Czechs have already started shooting at people on the fence, trying to get in, that type of thing. Or it was either them or Serbia. One of them. They shot at migrants anyway. So and the Hungarians, well, obviously they're ditching George Soros stuff, and the Hungarians. The Hungarians, of course, they know more about George Soros than anybody. So because that's where he's Hungarian. So. But anyway, back to the States. So you've got all these leftists that want a revolution. They want to do this. So we're going to go into Whitey's community and Burning because again, I'm not trying to divide and conquer here. I don't want to come off like it. But you have to understand that's the world we're looking at. We're looking at people that believe every white person is their slave master, the cracker. You know what I mean? I always thought cracker meant people, the whites addicted to crack, but I guess it goes to the slave master. So even the insults, white supremacists, who knew, right? I have no control over that. I guess that's my privilege. Whatever, I don't know, whatever. But anyway, you have all these leftists that believe they can do this violent revolution. I can go and punch Nazis because it's legal to do so. Now, here's the problem. Let's say they made it legal to punch Nazis. But what is a Nazi? It's a National Socialist, right? But the thing is anybody left or right of Bernie Sanders to these people is a Nazi. They're even going to call Bernie Sanders Nazi at some point. You know what I mean? They're calling liberals Nazis because they're not radical enough. So again, the best way to sum it up is to try to figure out the rationality of a crazy man will drive you insane. You know they're insane, so don't try to appease these people. Don't even try to argue with them. The best thing you do if you're challenged by one is have your talking points ready to go. And when you do, hopefully there's a big enough audience. If there's no audience, just nod, smile, move on. Because you're wasting your time. But if you got an audience, maybe you might plant a seed in some of those and de-radicalize, deprogram. It's not going to happen immediately. Some of these people you're hearing now were progressives forever and a day, and then only within a year or so they know there's something not right, and they start to slowly deprogram. It takes time, and you got to have your hand out for that because you'll have more on our side than theirs. And right now, that is the case. There are more non-radicals than there are radicals. Most Canadians are very rational people to a great degree. Yes, we're on the left on most issues, but you have to understand the propaganda we're hearing is keeping us on the left, me excluded, and a bunch like me. But even at that, I see it in my Facebook. I'm seeing the people starting to switch. They're wavering. They don't like Trump, but they're like, okay, but then it's like, oh, here's the lies CNN puts out and Occupy Democrats puts out, and then you put up, boom, here's the real story, the fake news, the alternative facts, right? And then once you red pill somebody, that's it. They can never go back. You get the blue pill, the red pill, or the black pill. These are the three pills you get. Now the people with the black pill are like, there's nothing we can do about this. But right now it's red pill or blue pill because the Trump win, the Brexit, if Marine Le Pen wins, wow, you know what I mean? And Germany. Chances are Merkel might win again. If that's so, then Germany is lost, and you will have a massive civil war and freak out. That'll just go batshit crazy right away. Because you're talking about insolvency. Now, you got all these people that want to go into, again, the number one enemy for these progressives is the straight white male. I mean, that's not me being, oh, poor me, I'm a victim of these. No, I'm like, these people are brainwashed to hate me. They're brainwashed to hate you. And if you're male in general, they're brainwashed to hate you because they're radical feminists. But they're tearing themselves apart because right now they're playing their hand in complete frenzy. Okay, well we need to elevate. Okay, let's take a Muslim woman. She's now the spokesperson for third wave feminism. You know what I mean? Again, in Germany there was Allahu Akbar, right in front of all these feminists, and they're all smiling like, oh, this is so culturally enriching. Yeah, you're going to be enriched. You're going to be enriched. Yeah, are you going to be wife number 2 or number 8? Good luck to you. And hopefully you're over the age of... I digress. But anyway, stupidity is going to hurt. Now, we'll finish up the video with this. Probably what most people want to know about. We're midsummer. The Antifa have now started to arm themselves and attack right-wingers in groups and knife them or whatever, beat them up with baseball bats. They're now going out and attacking. People in the rural areas, they're not worried about those people getting there because they'll come into the town, but you'll never see them again. That type of thing. Now it's game on. Every white person pretty much is going to be carrying a gun on them in the States. Even the liberals will be carrying guns on them. Everybody's going to be armed to the teeth. Difference is the right-wingers typically know how to use the guns. You know what I mean? So it gets to that point where the Civil War, I believe it will be very short-lived. A handful of progressives are going to die really brutally. They're going to get shot in the face in public. That type of thing, and it's going to be, okay, no, well, there was 8 Antifas and one guy who pulled out his gun, boom, 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 boom. They all had sticks. They could have killed me. They can kill me with their bare hands. Standing around, whatever, and then of course they'll be the left. Oh my God, you can't have people do. But then you're just going to see a melding. Bang. Okay, well, yeah, well, you're a racist and bigot. Get back me or shoot. Okay, you're a racist and bigot. Don't shoot me. Armed society is a polite society. So we're going to see how the Second Amendment is really going to work. And I think that's what kind of takes down right away. Yes, you'll get this, because right now these Antifa, like whenever George Soros uses Antifa or the neo-Nazi groups or whatever, whenever he uses them, that's because that's the desperate last card to play. After that, you can't get people much more radical. Well, you probably can, but you wouldn't be able to guide them anywhere to do anything. They'd just be genocidal maniacs. But the thing is that these people, under Obama, they've been given, the police have always been given stand-down orders to let the riots get out of control, like in Ferguson and places like that. And most of the people from Ferguson, you have all these African Americans saying, we went out to protest, And then these buses of people showed up and they burnt down our fucking neighborhood. They're not from here. They're not our, they killed our protest, you know what I mean? And burnt down our businesses, of their own community, So these people don't speak for us. And the more that happens, and that's why I think you've seen so many African Americans actually voted for Trump, is because they're starting to catch on to the bullshit. And the sooner they catch on to that, then they realize, okay, you're never going to vote Democrat again. The GOP's scumbags, but you support Trump, and maybe you might have a chance. You got nothing to lose at this point, like Trump said. Again, I still don't know if Trump is a good guy or a bad guy. To me, if he starts putting bankers in jail and doesn't get us into a war, then I'm okay with him. His attitude is, I don't care about him as a personal person. I care about him as what he's going to do as a... Now, the thing is he's very pro-Second Amendment. So that means it's going to be easier for people to defend themselves, which could lower crime rates. Why? Because every time a bad guy gets shot, that's one thing. But all these Antifa and all these progressive social justice warriors and Black Lives Matter and all that, because they're all funded by George Soros, really, when you look at it one way or another. It all comes back to him. The thing you're going to see is that as the examples get made, okay, yeah, it's a bit of a civil war, they're around attacking people, and this will go on maybe for a couple of years or throughout his administration, but when they catch them, they're going to get the death penalty, they're going to be shocked trying to attack people. The right-wingers are, at this point, I mean, you hear it from tons of right-wingers, we can no longer live amongst these people, they're fucking insane. And when you're, if you're walking around, and these people are just going to strike at you and your family for nothing, you're going to be walking around, you're going to be armed. Now, here in Canada, we don't have that yet, but here in Canada, it's a different, kind of a bit of a different thing. We're not as far down the rabbit hole on that yet. Don't get me wrong, we got enough SJWs here to last us a lifetime, but the thing is that we're not at the same insolvency the States is. We're behind the curve. We're behind the curve. But guys are getting out ahead of it now. They're becoming nationalists. They're starting to say, okay, well, we need to look at this globalism thing. We need to look at what Trudeau's doing. Even liberals that voted for Trudeau are like, whoa, this is not what I voted for. You're going to, fool me once, you know what I mean? That's going on. But when it comes to the shooting aspect of it, or the shooting civil war, which most likely will, again, I never call for the violence, and again, use your brain. The reason why it's in your own best interest to do this is to avoid the violence, because that's where it just gets lost in insolvency, and then you can't do anything, and then you just get genocides. But the thing is the Antifa and stuff like that, like all the radical lights, so to speak, will not join these people. It'll only be the most radical people out in the streets. And as they attack people and attack people's communities or whatever, well, they're going to get their asses handed to them, and the law will not protect them anymore. I love what Trump did to UC Berkeley. Especially after, you have to look at it, that the dean there basically told the campus police and the riot cops to stand down. Now, after a while, the riot cops just have to go in. But they let it get out of control right away. Now, mind you, there's a bit of a push me, pull me when it comes to the riot cops. They love it anyway. It's like, oh yeah, give me a reason to smash some heads or whatever, that type of thing. That's why it should be, now if there's agent provocateurs in there, that are actually cops starting the riots, I think then they should be put to death. They should get the death penalty for terrorism in their own country, because there's no reason for that. Uphold the rule of law or don't become an officer. That simple. To me, that's just disgusting. And this is why Trump got hired, is to drain the swamp, get rid of the corruption. That's the part of the corruption. So if you're, oh yeah, well, we need an excuse to, no, you don't need no excuse. If they let ye without shame cast the first stone, right? However it goes. So yeah, you can react to that, but the thing is that you see the same like all these riots with the Black Lives Matter, making the police stand down, letting them riot. There is no benefit letting them riot. Now, this is where Trump's authoritarian side is going to come out. Hence why you don't want to be caught between these two factions fighting, the police state and whatever. So these rioters are going to get hauled away. They're going to get criminal records. Hopefully they go to jail for a long time, because they are being treasonous to their own country. Yes, you have the right to protest, but you don't have the right to riot. And those people are going to be that will mellow them out a lot. So Trump's going to have to be a bit of a Stalin. Somebody asked me, he said, Reg, how come you throw Stalin and Mussolini as a Trump? I think Trump is probably going to be more like a Mussolini than a Stalin. Not in a direct sense, but in mannerism. Mussolini, when he took power, loved him, hate him. Mussolini wasn't very nice to his opposition. He showed them no quarter, no mercy. Trump's kind of the same there. It's like, you're either with me or you're against me. If you're against me, I'll tweet the shit out of you, and you're gonna, I'm just gonna troll the shit out of you. So that type of thing. So a little bit different mannerisms. That type of thing. America first, Italy first. So Mussolini, like maybe not every exact thing of Mussolini and Trump are identical, but the people that love Trump love Trump. Mussolini, same thing. You talk to Italians. Do you like Mussolini? Do you not like? It's the same like Fidel Castro. You love him or hate him. Stalin, love him or hate him. That type of thing. Now Stalin, it's the iron fist thing that okay, well you're going to do it my way, you're going to die. Trump is my way or the highway. So which it's less violent, but look at how many people. Same with Mussolini. If you weren't in line, you lost your job. You know what I mean? Like Trump right now, he's doing a purge process. He comes out with a bill like this. Now he knows everybody that went against him. They're done now. He knows who to purge. Again, dropping that firecracker down the hole to get the groundhogs to come out. Now you know where they are. It's like, okay, well, all the people that betrayed him on this immigration bill, he's just going to keep purging these people. It's draining the swamp. Maybe not the way I'd like it. I would prefer he put the corrupt people in jail and not so much just take down his opposition, that is legitimate opposition. Maybe this judge, again, I don't know why, if he did it for SJW reasons, yeah, call him out. But if he did it because there was a legal thing, whoa, I can't, I have to put the stay there because there's this legal thing. I don't know this. So I'm more than fair to give the man the shake of the doubt. Problem with Trump is if he gets too emboldened and empowered, he's just, again, the bull in the China shop effect. So I guess I'm going to have to wrap this up. But when the shooting starts, the best is just to avoid everything. It is going to happen because, again, the radical left, as the weather gets nicer throughout the United States, that's when you're going to see the most radical, but that's when you're going to see the most people moving to the other side towards the Trump and reasonability. Okay, well, we don't want to do that. We want reasonability, and I think that's what's going to happen. Which step in the right direction. I think most of the people that are anti-Trump now, 70% of them will probably be pro-Trump within 2 years, 2 to 3 years. Anyway, I guess I'll leave it at that. So if you like this kind of content, please consider making a donation channel. Links down below. Thank you so much to everybody who has. Next time, rate, subscribe, share, comment, like, be true to yourself, be true to others. Always do the right thing, and have yourselves a great day. G'day, hi, and welcome. All right, I'm back at the hall again. Hopefully I won't get interrupted today. Man, that snowed deep. Hopefully my van will be able to get out of here. So it snowed a bit. I had another carnival last night over at Otter Lake, so I think there's one more carnival to go in Casablanca. Hopefully there's like 3 carnivals 3 weeks in a row. That'd be kind of cool. Break up the winter monotony. Other than that, what's going on in the winter monotony? Well, they're keeping things interesting is the geopolitical things going on around the world, such as down in the States mainly. A civil war in the States. People have talked about it. It's kind of weird. We're seeing a different flip where under Obama you had all the right-wingers pretty much getting ready for a civil war, which didn't happen, but definitely the Obama administration was preparing for civil unrest, the FEMA camps, the this, the that, the DHS putting every pretty much right-winger or Christian or gun owner or patriot or constitutionalist on the terrorist watch list, considering that that's a terrorist group. So you can definitely see that the government's paranoid of its people. There's no doubt about that. But somehow Obama wasn't able to get the divide and conquer going good enough. Now Trump, strangely enough, was able to get the divide and conquer going well enough to have a civil war. And I think you might have one. Like I said, you'll probably have a civil race war, a civil race war under Trump and an economic collapse, but you're probably not going to get a third world war. I'm still kind of worried about how Trump is going to be treating Iran. Did Trump just, people got sick of the red terror scare and Russia this and Russia that and Russian aggression. Maybe people just if Trump is in on it with the New World Order, so to speak, then you'd be saying, okay, well, look, the jig's up. We can't demonize the Russians anymore. The people are going against us, so let's now demonize China and Iran. So whatever, and Iran has been kind of feeling out the Trump administration a bit too, such as dumping the dollar, which is not a big deal because it's not like Iran was using it a lot anyway, so it's, whatever. But just to set the precedents to get other people to dump the US dollar, that type of thing. So that said, it comes back to the SJWs, the Antifa, which the Antifa, man, these guys have just been popping out of the woodwork like you wouldn't believe. And it's not that they weren't always there, it's now they're funded by, you guessed, George Soros. Pretty much every bit of destabilization protest that you see everywhere, maybe not everywhere, but all the major ones that are making it on the news, all these people that are busting from all over the place are busting on George Soros-funded buses. And they're usually, the narrative is that. These people, whether they know who George Soros is or not, it doesn't matter because they're being used as useful idiots. Now, I think the reality is this, that most people do support Trump. They're doing polls, polls are notoriously unreliable, especially they saw after this election that passed how unreliable these polls actually are. But even at that, they're still taking bias samples, and even with the bias samples, it's still coming up in favor of Trump on, like, for example, the refugee ban, that type of thing. And again, you still have, like, up here in Canada, the CBC talking about how horrible the refugee ban is and how everybody's celebrating this judge who put a block or whatever. But at the end of the day, most people are in favor, maybe not a high majority, but like 49 to 41% or something like that. But the thing is that I think the majority is silent anyway. So most people are for this ban. Even some of the people, again, CNN again get caught in the lies when they talk about the travel ban. There was this imam or whatever. They censor it. They get sound bites, right? And they get the part where it either makes somebody look good or somebody look bad. But anyway, this imam was like, "Yeah, no, I support what Trump's doing. It makes sense. I mean, type of thing." So they cut that part out and then just go, "Well, but he's going about it the wrong way." Yada yada yada. Okay, yeah, most people would say, "Yeah, he went about it the wrong way." If he didn't trap anybody at airports, yes, they would still complain, but they would get less of an argument. You know what I mean? Rather than triggering them. And that's the thing, like triggering the SJWs is easy to do, but he will not divide us. I watched the video, oh my God. Soy LaBeouf or whatever, the guy that played in the Transformers there, I like him as an actor, but I think like most actors, like some of these people, the better actor they are, the more of a scatterbrain they are. If you didn't see that like the Hitler trolls of that was just, but ridiculous should be met with ridiculous, right? So these, whatever. But this is the mindset of people that you're dealing with. So it's not like you can really have logical conversations with these people anyway. It's like, so they're going to get trolled, it is counterproductive trolling these people. It is, but I know it's fun for some people, but it's like, it is counterproductive. But I get it. Yeah, you have to take these people down a notch one way or another. But the thing is those people I'm not so worried about. These Hollywood types all out there. I think something right now there's something like 12,000 tweets out there of calling for the assassination of Trump. Now, under Obama, anytime there was a call for an assassination, man, the guy was swept away, and probably rightfully so. I mean, that is a serious thing to be doing. A lot of these, I think, are just flaky liberals, or not liberals, but progressives, because liberals are now Nazis. Again, if you're right-wing of Bernie Sanders, you're a Nazi, according to these people. These people just don't deal with reality well. And I'm not really worried about these Trotskys. Some people said, Reg, these guys aren't like Trotskys, or they're not like the Bolsheviks at all. What do you mean? I said, well, don't look at them in the sense of SJWs, what they stand for. Look at them, the mannerisms of which they're going about it. How they're, tear the whole system down. We're going to rebuild it in our, in our way, but we have to tear it all down first. That's Trotskyism. Bolshevism, very similar. Anybody that, goes against us, shut it down. So, do you have your revolution via the unions, or do you have your revolution and then bring in the unions? Okay, well, whatever. Tomato, tomato. But you get what I'm getting at when I'm talking about Bolshevism 2.0 or Neo-Bolshevism or, Trotskyism. These people are the revolutionaries, is I guess the basic term here. And the thing is there's like the Antifa are not revolutionary. They're just anarchists. They're just anarchists. They're not revolutionary. Although they call for revolution and stuff like that. You had one guy. Somebody said, Stalin killed XYZ amount of people, 80 million people, 20 million people. Nobody knows. Stalin will say, a death of a man is a tragedy, a death of millions is a statistic. I mean, like, is it 80 million, is it 82 million? He killed millions of people. And the communist student of what you now call social justice, I used to refer to this guy had like a freaking bearskin hammer and sickle hat on, the CCCP shirt, I'm sure, underneath. Very communist. Communist hasn't been tried the right way for the 18th billionth time. We didn't kill enough people in the last time communism failed. So we're going to try it a new way. That time. And his snappy remark was basically, oh yeah, but did you know under Stalin the birth rate was going up? Yes, and same thing under Mao Zedong, where women had to have 5 children, and now you have an overpopulated China and a one-child policy. So rather than just let things work themselves out naturally, and these 5-child policies. Okay, it created such an inflation of people. You have all these people starving on windows. Now, China, depending on where you look, depending on the quality of life, a lot of areas in China, trust me, nobody in the Western world, unless they're a businessman, wants to live in China, or a businesswoman, whatever. You don't want to live in China because